organized. We store that information in a database. The ones that I see most frequently use, Excel, Access, but there's also a lot of other great databases out there. And then the whole point is to output that information in an organized fashion. I mean, that's what AFS is all about, summarizing information and sharing it. And so it's a pretty familiar concept to all of us, and we're not going to hit on that maroon square. We're not going to hit on that output, but what we're going to get to is kind of that collection and the storage of that information and how we can make it a little more efficient. So, as you can see here, I'm taking a pretty quick jab at paper and pencil. This is going to be a very biased talk towards digital data collection. And just, you can kind of see, with all the advancements in fisheries, like I go to these conferences and it's amazing at the technologies that we're implementing in the field, and also the wonderful analyses that we see and how we look at our data. And yet, it can be kind of archaic the way that we still write down our data and store our data even. The method of recording data hasn't changed for almost thousands of years at this point. And we'll continue that with the hazards of paper. So in this picture, there's a very well-esteemed fishery scientist who may or may not be in this room currently, that when we were out in the field, a gust of wind came along, boom, data sheet in the water. Although he's a very agile scientist, and he was able to swipe that sheet out of there. But that might not be the case for everyone. So paper sheets obviously are perishable. Whether you lose them, whether a fire happens or they get stolen, something of that nature, they're a pain to deal with in the wind. I mean, this is things that I'm sure everyone in here has experienced. The scribbling factor, I can't write down GPS coordinates to save my life, especially on a moving boat. The hand cramps, and you need transcription anyways. You're going to have to take that paper and put it into a database at some point. Plus, the push towards going green just kind of ruined the paper component. And so, we've been talking, downplaying paper a little bit here, so I'll go ahead and talk about a pretty solid alternative. And I'll be speaking a lot about the Esri application of suites, so the ArcGIS framework. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about Survey 123, but also there's a collector. I'm sure some people are familiar with that. Essentially, there are ways in which you can record your data digitally off different platforms, mobile devices, cell phones, iPads, desktops, work laptops. And these are some photos of my crew, using them, whether in the field. We also use them in the lab. We have some barcode scanning capabilities. There's a lot of things that you can use this technology for. And so one component to roll out with, obviously inputting your data right away is great. It saves a lot of time. You don't have to transcribe. But one of the best components of this is once that data is submitted, it goes up to the cloud. Specifically, this is ArcGIS Online. It's a web-hosted feature layer. And when it's on the cloud, you have a lot more capabilities to share your data, analyze your data, do a lot of different things when it's on that web-based platform, which really adds another dimension to how you can have your data work for you. So going back to actually the devices itself, collecting the data on the devices, this what I'm going to show next is Survey 123 application that I've built that we use for our AIS program. And so here what we have is the application that I built, and I'm just going to go ahead and, just as if we were putting data in, it really gives you the opportunity to customize it to whatever need you might have. It also allows you to standardize that input so you don't have bluegill spelled 5 different ways in your data set. You can also constrain fields, so if you're in 100 feet of water, you can't put in 1,000 feet of water. Like things that kind of just help keep data cleaner. You can collect, obviously the date, the time, the point, like the location information. You can do a lot of things with that. You can have the device do a lot of custom work for you. You can require fields so you're not missing something. I know that can be a pain as you're analyzing things, just really trying to reduce input error is like a really great concept of this kind of platform. You can also incorporate related data, which is really important, right? So you have the site information, which this survey has currently been filling out, but you also need to collect that biological data. And you can embed things as photographs, you can take pictures, so you can actually tie a photograph to a record in a database, which can be very useful in a lot of different formats. Here I'm putting lengths of fish in, and so by doing that, it adds a lot of standardization. It also can calculate things, so it's key. It's collecting the number of fish and the species richness here, and you can embed protocols, cheat sheets, SOPs, and the greatest part about this, not only is it a really good useful tool when you're out in the field, but there's no post-season data entry. It's kind of done right there on the spot. And so going back to that concept of like it being web hosted, it allows you to do a lot of different things that like a more static or localized data set just doesn't have the capability to do. And so one of the nice things is once that data is on the cloud, you can use some of these other applications. And so I'm going to show Operations Dashboard, which is another ArcGIS tool to build a real-time dashboard that links directly to that hosted data set. And so this is a screenshot of my desktop. And so here what I'm doing is I have a live feed to that fish data set. And I've been able to build kind of a really user-friendly analytical dashboard that can kind of give me answers immediately after we've submitted our fisheries data. So you can filter by category, you can set it up how you want, you can set goals. You know, here I'm showing a number of surveys we've conducted, fish by locations or gears. You know, there's some basic analytics that you can tie into all of this to kind of address some questions as you're going through. There's obviously it's GIS, so there's a nice spatial component, so I'm selecting for detections in the St. Lawrence River and filtering that way. So there's like a lot of things you can do. And the best part about this is, you know, it's web-based, so I can take a web link of this, and send it to my supervisors, send it to collaborators, and they can interact with it themselves. So it really touches on that data sharing concept, that collaboration concept. And so continuing on the idea of a data workflow, like a life cycle. One thing I really like to hit on too, with this whole efficiency mindset, is R Markdown. Now, how many here use R for aspects of the work? How many of you have used R Markdown? Great. It's good to see that a lot of people are using it. And so this has been a really good tool for, you know, especially automated reports, annual type things. And what it allows is the Markdown side of it allows you to embed text and also LaTeX with R code, synthesizes it, and you can produce PDFs and Word docs. And this is extremely useful for me because I generate a lot of reports that the only thing changes are the points and the numbers and the year. And so here, this is just, you know, a classic RStudio user interface. I have my code, I have my LaTeX embedded in there, and I also have inline code inside the text. It's a pretty standard, you know, report that I imagine anyone would produce. The nice part here is you can just hit that knit button. It'll synthesize all that information with that data, and it'll spit out a really nice, I mean, you can make it look as nice as you want. So that's the nice thing about LaTeX, is you can format, you know, extremely well. So I hit a button, and the program produces this report for me. So now I went from having to take time to build a report, a cookie cutter report that you might have to copy, paste, remove things, and I built it into this framework, and I refresh the data, run it, it puts new points on the map, it adds new, you know, numbers in the text. So pretty efficient. And so it kind of ties into just like having a workflow, like this is the concept. And so for us, for our program, this is kind of like the schematic. So we collect our information on field tablets. That information is hosted online on the cloud. Because it's on the cloud, we can do things like make real-time dashboards that really helps us in the moment make decisions or understand our goals, things of that nature. We can pull that data off the cloud, throw it into R, and then use the endless power of R and R Markdown to make whatever you need to make. And it really is all about having the data work for you and you not work against the data. You know, that's kind of the main theme. Also, I need to hit on some other really cool things in digital data collection that I'm not personally involved in, but I've been made aware of. And so some of the things like electronic fish measuring boards, I know the USGS trawl surveys already have and are incorporating some of these electronic measuring boards and scales, so they can, you know, process a lot of fish and not have to worry about transcribing that data when they get back. There's also work being done on voice recognition data entry. There's still some stuff to be done with that, but I mean, it's pretty promising to where you can just talk into a microphone and it'll record the data for you. So a lot of things are starting to take off to blend together this, you know, web-based data hosted stuff, and you can tie in a lot of these tools to make it useful. So the important takeaways from this is that currently the trends are towards data sharing, data management, collaboration. Like we hear that a lot, right, from people. And so this is a really great system to promote that kind of environment. It makes collaboration a lot easier. So let's say you have a project and you're working with multiple partners. Instead of having partners submit 7 different Excel sheets and combine it, you can make one survey. Everyone can be standardized on their input, submit it to the same place. It makes the workflow much easier. You know, ArcGIS and Esri isn't the only platform. There's a lot of others where you can incorporate this technology. Like this is really just a concept, right? But the nice thing about Esri is a lot of governmental agencies, state, universities, they have contracts with ArcGIS. And so you may already have the ability to do these things right now. And then our Markdown obviously has been a great efficient tool for those boilerplate reports or things of that nature. And then there's a lot of exciting things coming down with some of these other electronic data tools such as measuring boards, voice recognition, pit tag readers, stuff like that. And so kind of in closing, I think it's important to think about the work that you're doing, the data, right? Like not just the front end of the analysis, but kind of try to blend it together as like a workflow. That way, you can kind of let it manage itself, and it kind of takes away the whole you having to manage it aspect when you think about things and use these kinds of technologies. So with that, I'd like to thank Chris Castiglione, who's not here with us. He was a big help in me establishing this, and all the folks from Lower Great Lakes for letting me be the guinea pig. And take a whole data set that was just derived and built upon paper and access and turn it into something that looked quite foreign when we were done. So a lot of appreciation there. So with that, I know I have plenty of time. This is the last talk. So with that, I'll take any questions. Yes?
Do you recommend getting a stylus if you get a tablet?
So we don't use a stylus.